Brian, I'm feeling it.
I'm bouncing.
I'm feeling it. Hold on, it's coming. It's coming. Oh, yeah! Let's go! Yeah!
Oh, I gotta shorten this one. Wow.
Love it.
That was super loud. Hey, everybody.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, friends. Hi, people we haven't met yet.
Yes, soon to be friends by proxy.
That's Ryan. I'm his brother Dan. Howdy. We're the Way of the Leaf. This is Tavern Talk, baby.
Yeah, Tavern Talk. This is a full spoiler discussion, and we've decided to shift gears from our usual deep dives into everything book related, and we're gonna add a deep dive into this show, which we have 1 through 3 episodes. 1 through 3 are out, and we want to talk with some special guests and merge the two. What is different? What is the same? We're gonna go book to show for this episode of Tavern Talk.
Guys, I'm excited. This is going to be fun, and we got some great guests. So what, Ryan? Open that goddamn big-ass door you got. Wow. You know, when they say don't let the door hit you on the way out, that door may kill you or maim you.
Just separate you from your body, yeah.
All right, guys, yeah, bring them in. Let's bring out. We got some
guests.
Guests.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and glasses. We have 2 amazing guests who are going to spend a couple hours with us, breaking down everything. Welcome to Sarah from Maidens of the Spear and Brian from Barside Chat.
Yeah! Woo!
Hello.
Welcome, y'all.
So happy to be here.
Thanks for bringing the energy, guys.
Yeah. I said, yeah! Did you not hear me? No, there we go. Hey, this has been a big week. I mean, this is literally...
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
What happened?
Have you slept normally?
There was
I've not slept.
Climate Change Congress in Glasgow.
Oh, right. I did see that.
They made all kinds of stuff happen.
Greta was not happy, though. Greta was not. She was nonplussed. We have a nonplussed Greta.
Yeah.
So, we had a show that came out, about that book series we kind of read and this stuff we've been talking about. Brian and Sarah, how long have you guys known or been reading about The Wheel of Time? What is your history with this series? Sarah, let's start with you. Yeah.
Starting with me? Okay. I have been reading The Wheel of Time since I was 14, and that was 15 years ago. So 15 years.
Wow.
And that's over half my life, which is crazy to think about. So I'm on my 5th reread currently. I've made every girlfriend I've had read it, including my current one. And that's my history with it.
Did you have to wait for any of the books to come out?
I did, yeah. So I started reading... I started reading I finished book 11 just a couple weeks before Robert Jordan passed away. So I didn't wait for any of RJ's books, but I waited for all of Brandon's books.
Awesome. How about you, Brian? What's your history?
I started reading the books in 1997, and I'm not going to say how old I was when I started.
No need.
Old enough. 1997 is I read the first book. I believe it was Lord of Chaos was the one that had just come out. Maybe it was The Shadow Rising. But I don't remember. I do remember that it was shortly after somebody asked Robert Jordan who killed Asmodean, and he said, "I thought it was intuitively obvious." That was shortly
Yeah.
after I started reading, so it was right about that time. And then I joined Theoryland in 1998, and I've been a fan ever since. So it's been a long, long time.
Nice.
And I'm on my like
Obvious.
42nd reread, so Sarah's got some time to catch up here.
You'll get there.
You'll get there.
Oh, well, I'm pleased you guys are here. So this is a Tavern Talk. We are all spoilers on the table. We're sitting at a bar and we're fucking drinking and we're talking, theoretically, metaphorically. Hi, Mersu. There you are.
Before we go on, hit that like and subscribe, guys, and let people know that this is happening. A lot of eyes are on Wheel of Time, and a lot of big-ass YouTubers coming over from Game of Thrones. I saw someone with the 400,000 subs drop a really fucking nice video. And I was like, oh, the production is so good. All right, so we need all the help we can get, so spread the word that this is happening. We are small content creators in a big ocean.
We are a cottage industry in New York City. I don't know.
What?
we're small. We're small in the big people world, but we're getting. Hey, we're moving on up. We're the Jeffersons. All right. Anyways,
You're showing your age now.
Yeah.
I heard that. Yeah.
I like the Jeffersons. Anyways,
I don't think that would hold up in modern times, Dan. I don't think those jokes are funny anymore.
The Jefferson. No, the whole thing was, but it was a challenge to the society at a time. It was, even though it's troubling to watch now, it was innovative and pushing at the time. Well done, Sherman Hemsley.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
all right. Cut. All right. We'll fix that in post, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. So as you are guests on our show, you become our new best friends, and there are a couple of little initiations to being a new best friend, and one is enduring a tiny song that I write for you.
Yeah, that's the first Angreal you got to pass through is the song Angreal.
So I'm going to lay down so I can play the song, and I am going to touch the song Angreal with strings, and I'll sing first to Sarah and then to Brian. All right, and don't hold your breath. I mean, this ain't nothing. Fuck. All right, ain't nothing.
All right,
And let me
fix it in post. Yeah.
Turn that. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Brother Dan famously has to lie down and play guitar. There's many reasons.
My sciatica.
Oh yeah, we're going with that one today.
All right. All right. Turn off the music, Ryan. I can't compete. I can't compete. All right. All right. This one has no toe with mud. Oh, wait. All right, hold on. This one has no toe with us. It's clear. It's Sarah from the Maidens of the Spear. And
Yeah.
all right.
Yes.
You want a podcast where they have the coolest cats? Talk to Brian from Barside Chats.
Woo!
All right.
Encore.
Encore.
Okay. What do you want? All right.
No, please
No.
Sound to
All
me.
right. All right. Anyways, here's Wonderwall.
Okay. Oh no.
All right. I'm back. Oh, and I dropped my stick. Hold on.
All right, so episodes 1 through 3. Now, a lot of changes, but a lot that, as you look further and further into it, kind of has that kind of web of intrigue that Robert Jordan is so known for. There are certain subtle things that you might not get on your first watch through, which I think is kind of exciting for people like us. But as we've been interviewing some non-readers, it is confusing as fuck for them.
Well, let's start right off the bat. What are your?
Dan.
I'm sorry. This just in.
It's
Ryan.
just in.
Do it.
We have a special guest.
Oh yeah.
That's not what.
Oh.
There we go,
There we go.
ladies and gentlemen.
Morgan!
We did a live stream after the broadcast of the episodes that was a chaotic mess, and I've taken those streams down.
I'm sad about that. They were amazing.
They were amazing, and we got copyright hit for it. So
I had some
we to
awesome
take-
jokes.
Well, okay, well, we're good. Feel free to. No one saw that, so feel free to rehash them as if they're new. Brad.
Yeah.
My favorite was asking if Lon hid Moraine's ring behind his balls, and that's why they changed the whole taint to corruption, because they're gonna later on be like, a white cloak will never check another man's taint, so that's why they hide it there, But yeah,
I think yes. Now, which the whole touching moment when he gives her the ring back, and now that I think about it, he's like, "I washed it for you."
but it's not as good telling it a second time because it was very organic the first time.
That was very organic.
Sounds like it's still very organic.
You know what? That's what you're missing when you're not here, guys. So like and subscribe and all that stuff.
All right, so big question: do we think that the Aes Sedai ring is an actual thing in this world? Is it a source of power for them, or is that a misconception by the White Cloaks, and that's why he's cutting off hands? Is he doing that as an ignoramus, or is he doing that as a military strategy that is actually what he should be doing because the rings are powerful?
I think neither is the answer.
I agree.
I think no power comes from the rings, but I do think the Aes Sedai have so ingrained the hands into the way they learn channeling that they're pretty useless without them, is basically what I think was going on there.
Okay. How about you, Morgan?
Yeah, that's pretty. That kind of coincides with canon from the books. The Sea Folk and the Aiel Wise ones make kind of commentary to how the Aes Sedai do a lot of hand waving, and there's actually a scene where Avienda and the Sea Folk and Elaine are fighting Seanchan through a gateway, and Elaine notices that it's because she and other Aes Sedai have to make fireballs and throw them. It's faster for the Aiel and for the Sea Folk because they're able to just hold out their hands and be like boo 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 boo, and so I think it's just and there's other mention of how once you learn a certain way to do something, it's hard to learn a different way. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of that's
Well, to that end then, Brian, do you think that Rand will use his hands when he channels eventually? I mean, we're assuming he's going to channel eventually.
I mean, if he continues to have hands, maybe.
Because he does lose a hand. Correct. So that's kind of the point I was getting to.
I think he's gonna have to do weird shoulder shrugs because he, banged down that door. So he's just gonna have to.
Yeah.
Oh,
he'll do the bewitched thing where he just crinkles his nose, and the fireball comes out and just snots all over people. They're green fireballs. That's probably going to happen. But no, in the books, Moraine in Eye of the World, she admonishes Egwene and says, no, there's no power in the staff, right? Egwene's like, oh, your staff must be powerful. And she's like, no, there's no power in the staff. And then as the girls are in Tar-Valon and the White Tower as novices and accepted, the Aes Sedai point out, no, you don't need to throw your hand to do a fireball. And in fact, only the untrained and the weakest of the Aes Sedai do that. The strongest ones don't have to do that. And then to Morgan and Sarah's point, later in the books, you do see Elaine does that. But she's not a well-trained Aes Sedai. She's a novice. And then you look at the wise ones and the Sea Folk who are well-trained in their respective ways. They don't do that. And so the answer is neither, but it's also both. In this case, the White Cloak thinks that there's something about their hands that makes it special. And he's wrong, because there's not. And there's nothing about the rings themselves that have power. But most of the Aes Sedai do use their hands a lot. There's also the terminology of weaving the pattern implies doing something, and you can't weave with no hands. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there who don't have hands that know how to knit and weave things. I don't know how to do that, and I can't. I think it's a very visible way to say, like, if you don't have hands, you can't weave.
The rings do have one very important power, which is symbolic power, and I think that's why the White Cloaks collect them.
Well, if
really
we're
a trophy,
if we're sticking to canon of the book, then yeah, you're right. But so far, channeling has been a pretty acrobatic, choreographed dance for the most
It
part.
has been, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we've
which is
only
also
seen, like,
tied up.
we've only really seen Nynaeve. I mean, sorry, Moraine and Leandrin channel so
Yeah,
far.
and Egwene does it once, and she does the whole like holding a
Yeah.
grapefruit thing.
But she's untrained, so
Yeah.
I do think for a non-reader, it's entirely reasonable to assume that the power comes from the rings, based on the way it's shot. They do a lot of meaningful close-ups on those rings.
Correct.
Yep.
So, all right. So that's fascinating. So we have this image of the Aes Sedai actually being captured and held and burned at the stake, and we have a dude walking around with like 7 rings on, which I guess we're looking at them as like scalps, or if you took down a king, you're just wearing his crown. So he's just like walking around, like showing these off. How in the world do you think they are able to capture an Aes Sedai?
Well, even Aes Sedai is helpless to a crossbow bolt in the back, as Varen says at one point. I think there's lots of ways. I think when we watched the scene where it's Moraine and Lan being surrounded by that group of White Cloaks, I realized, like, yeah, like, of course, could they kill them all? Sure. But is there a good chance that Lan gets taken out with arrows and Moraine gets, pinned down as well? I think the White Cloaks could have captured them there, especially when Moraine is hurt and tired.
Yeah.
And then I also think they have Fork Root in this universe. The White Cloaks have Fork Root.
I mean, that's we haven't seen that yet, but it's possible that they drugged her somehow. I think it's far more likely there was some kind of ambush and everybody was just caught by surprise. Nobody knew what was happening, and then the warder's dead before you can blink, and then Aes Sedai is in the bond pain of like having a warder die, and they subdue her, and there's you can imagine several scenarios in which they could capture her. It's unlikely because Aes Sedai are so powerful, and who would attack the Aes Sedai, right? Like the White Tower, the wrath of the White Tower will come down on you. Yeah. But it's not inconceivable that a group of people with no magic powers could ambush, surround, and take down an Aes Sedai. Like, that's not beyond the realm of possibility.
My brother and I had theorized that perhaps they were standing right on the edge of a steading.
Or a long-lost steading.
And as soon as they crossed into where they can't channel, they just came and ran and grabbed them.
I was thinking you could also just, like, shoot with a blunted arrow, so just kind of sniping from hiding, and just, a shot in the head with a blunted arrow, something like that, would knock somebody unconscious, kind of like the Wheel of Time version of a tranquilizer dart or whatever. But yeah, if the White Cloaks were to come in at like a far enough distance to do kind of like an encircling where an Aes Sedai would not feel in immediate danger, and then at that point, someone could, from hiding, hit her in the head with the blunted arrow or whatever, because Eamon is obviously interested in having, his ceremonial, rather than just
turning at the stake.
Killing her from stealth, like, a less of a zealot would probably just choose to do.
And even in the books, the girls themselves got ambushed, and they were all able to channel at that point.
Yeah,
and
but
they still got ambushed.
Did they have a warder with them?
No.
See, I'm
but there were 3 of them.
Like, how we're having these like warders who are just shitty at tracking. You get the sense that Lan would never allow, like in the books, you get the sense Lan would never allow the White Cloaks to just be. He'd be like, "Oh shit, they're around the corner!" Like, everyone look busy.
That scene felt very contrived to me for that reason. I was like, they would have gone around the White Cloaks if the White Cloaks were this dangerous in this world. But Lan also apparently couldn't sense a Murdrall that was 60 feet away. So
right, Egwene sensed him.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the sword, if you guys don't mind. I know I'm sidetracking, but this has been a major, what is it? A major poppy seed in my molar.
Land sword?
No, Rand and Tam's.
Oh, the sword. The sword. Gotcha.
Rand just has it. It just, no big deal. Okay, Rand's just riding away. He has the sword. There is no mention of the importance of it. And one of the early scenes or stills or teasers that we had from the series was Rand's sword in a pile of leaves. Remember? Like months ago, like in August.
The lame hair.
Wait, that was just months ago? But yeah, no, totally. I think that they do kind of gloss over that. I've heard that there is a deleted scene of Rand and Tam in the woods on the way back to Two Rivers after the Trolloc attack, and so it's possible that there is some other deleted scene where the importance of the sword was told, and it just got cut for some reason. But it's also possible that one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about since I saw the first 3 episodes is like the showrunners on the show. They're doing a very good job, I think, of not making it obvious that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. In fact, a lot of people are like, "Who's Rand? He's just some side character." Like Matt is clearly the main character, or whatever. And so the possibility now that Egwene could be the Dragon Reborn, and for these new viewers who have never read the books, we can't show Rand with this special sword from his father, who's not really his father, and that he actually looks like an Aiel from another place, and like, oh my gosh, why is he so different than everybody else? That would just give it away, right? So I think the fact that they didn't cover that is intentional, because they don't want to make it too obvious who the Dragon Reborn is. And so I think that they are they're basically trying to stop that from coming out. Right? So if they spend too much time on that exposition with Rand and Tam and all that stuff, then you do wind up with making
Sarah,
it obvious who the dragon
do you
is.
think we're going to see something later on in the I guess the first season?
Oh yeah.
I mean, my guess is that at some point somebody else is going to notice Rand's sword and be like, "Hey, that's a heron marked blade."
Oh, Tom.
What are you
next
doing
episode.
with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Rand knows when he leaves Emond's Field in the books. Lan tells him later. That's not something he learns from Tam, right? So
Correct.
I think they just push that scene till later, and he'll learn it from Tom.
I think it's going to be later.
Yeah,
it might not be with Lan either. With Tam either. They might do it with Lan or with Tom or with somebody else. Agomar at Baldar. Who knows?
And we haven't seen him wield it or even acknowledge it himself, except that he picks it up after Dana dies. And then
I think that's okay, because he also can't use it yet. Like,
when
when Dana had gone to take it, he'd like busted out some moves. I'd be like, okay, you didn't learn that. But he just gets disarmed in a second. So I
appreciated that. I liked the fact that she was so easily able to disarm him, and she just made him look so helpless. Yeah.
And she's holding the sword like a gun as she's looking out the window, just kind of pointing the sword at him, like, "Don't move." But I'm looking for Matt. They were. She wanted to have sexy time, and was that just a delay tactic? I mean, if Matt walked in and Rand was having sexy time with Dana, I mean, Matt would have any person probably would have said, "Oh, sorry," and just left, right?
Would Matt do that?
Yeah, Matt's
I
like,
don't know.
I mean,
And
correct me if I'm wrong, but Rand implied that Matt likes older women.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would have been like, "Yep, you're too young for me."
There also was a joke where he's out splitting wood and he said, "All right, we'll take turns." And Matt goes, "Do you think she's up for it?"
God.
Oh man.
Yes.
Do you guys think a Myrddraal will speak?
I hope so.
I hope so, but I don't know. He might be more frightening if it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if it speaks, will it move its mouth, or will it just?
I don't know.
Well, ventriloquist, like keep his mouth closed and just have a voice come out.
It's got normal lips when the mouth is.
It might have a
closed.
lisp.
Yeah, I was just
We all
wondering if
teeth
it would
in a
have a
way.
list with that many teeth.
Yeah. It might have
So
that
Morgan,
giant
you're the
tongue
only
and
other
teeth.
person I've heard describe that as a lamprey eel. That was my
Oh, yeah?
first thought. Was that he looked like a giant
Teeth all the way
walking
down.
lamprey eel.
Probably.
Yeah, the screamy worm, as my non-reader friend refers to that character.
Screamy worm. Yeah.
Nice.
Did the mirror draw look like what you thought it would look like?
No. Oh, I mean, we knew what it looked like, but you mean before?
I mean, yeah, but I
seeing
mean,
the
like
commercials?
prior to seeing, like, when you read the books, does the mental image match up with what's on the screen?
Everything except for when it opens its mouth.
Yes.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to have, like a monster mouth. I figured it would just be
A mouth.
I figured it would just be completely and totally normal, and it's sort of
Yeah.
like,
The monster
its
mouth.
utter humanity is what makes it inhuman. But I don't know, I like that they made it like they didn't try to make it more monstrous. I don't know. It's like I've seen lots of like drawings or depictions of Murderel, and none of them have really fit my like head canon for it, but I also have a really hard time picturing them. So this, I wasn't disappointed with this. And I was hoping for something that was a little bit more horrifying, but I don't know that they would have been able to do that without doing like a lot of special effects. So,
Well, maybe it'll be when it actually is in action.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
When
Maybe
it
we're gonna
opened
be
its
like,
mouth
"What?"
and gave that scream, I was like, all right, that thing is just a murder hole. There's no way words are coming out of that thing.
Yeah.
My-
The gory
my
hole,
mental-
as we call it on our channel.
The gory hole.
Ouch.
My mental
Barbed.
image of a mirror draw was actually Keanu Reeves, like modern day Keanu Reeves,
I can
in
see that.
all black on a horse, but with no eyes.
No eyes.
And like that's just how I think of it. It
Okay,
was
I love
super
that.
pale Keanu Reeves with
Whoa.
no eyes.
Whoa, okay. I always just thought of kind of an egg with a mouth. Like, honestly, I didn't, like a big egg shape, and I don't know why it was always so scary.
I always
I'm
thought
with
of
them,
him
too.
as because they're just described as just like a pale man with no eyes.
He's just a
So
pale man with
I'm
no
with
eyes.
you there.
We haven't seen a fight yet, but I do want to see one engage. There's supposed to be the ultimate, challenge.
I think next episode we'll get to see Tom with
Tom
the
fight
fade.
one.
I do think I like his mouth, like the way that, the way that his face looks under the cowl is really, I don't know, because it's like he looks human, but at the same time, like you can tell there's something not quite right. So that does like give a sense of disquiet. So I appreciate that.
In 3 episodes, have we seen a braid tug besides a Trolloc tugging on Nynaeve's braid?
Oh no, Dan,
not
you're
for-
going to the
yeah.
controversy already?
Have we seen a braid tug from her?
She tossed it over her shoulder. Does that
It
count?
was
That
all
doesn't
wet.
count.
No,
That's a braid
ain't count.
flip.
On-
That was
on
a
braid
badass
flip.
scene, but
Opinion.
that wasn't
It's a
that
whip.
wasn't a braid tug.
The braid tug trope, I don't think really starts until the Dragon Reborn.
You think so?
Oh, okay.
I was looking for it on my current reread, and like in the Dragon Reborn, it's like every other sentence with Nynaeve, but before that, it's not really present.
Huh.
Interesting.
Well, I
so,
feel like she uses the braid to like start her lawnmower of rage, so she doesn't really need it until she realizes
Yeah.
that, like,
Exactly.
so.
But and I thought the same thing too. As wisdom, as someone who was a healer, that she had to just tug on her own head to get mad, and she would heal better because she would access the power.
She didn't know that though. Once she knows consciously what it is that she does, at that point she's like, okay, I gotta, this is
Yank,
my pull
yank.
start, to get the lawnmower going. And then
that's
it's
Yeah.
so
like,
amazing.
So based on the show, can we
Chainsaw.
assume that every wind listener can channel? We heard about the wisdom that walked at age 13 all the way to the White Tower and was turned away. That was assumed because she knew that she could channel, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So does Nynaeve, and hence she thinks that Egwene as well. Do they correlate listening to the wind to the ability to channel the way that the prior wisdom did?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the story that Nynaeve told was not that she could channel, but that she could listen to the wind, and she wanted to know. She kept getting sick after listening to the wind, and she went to the White Tower for help with that. That's what I remember. I don't know that she connected the dots of getting sick after listening to the wind to channeling.
Yeah, I mean, it is canon that anyone in the books who could actually listen to the wind could channel. Most wisdoms just said they could.
But it is also canon that a lot of them are ignorant to that fact.
Yeah.
They don't know what it means.
I don't think they know what it means.
But the prior wisdom walked to White Tower.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised with the story that Nynaeve tells Moraine, because she's like, she walked to the White Tower at 13 and they turned her away, like, so she went for training, which I didn't care for as a story, because it's, they would have taken her unless she was too weak, and so.
I mean, it's possible she was too weak. She was just a wisdom.
Guys, I was just going to ask this question. Thank you, Marisu. She says, or I don't know, she or he, sorry, my bad. They say, I don't think the prior wisdom could channel, or she was extremely weak. I don't believe her story of being turned away for being poor, and I also believe that
the canon for Swan is that she's incredibly poor, and they obviously did not turn her away, and I think that they're playing that up just from the tattoos. I mean, the tattoos that you see on Swan are obviously so badly done, and I think that's supposed to emphasize
they
the
look
fact.
Involuntary.
Well, it looks like her drunk friend did them on the boat or something. Like, my friend Kenny has tattoos on his fingers that his drunk friend did in his basement, and they remind me of those. So it's just kind of like.
Yeah,
that happens.
It's a weird story, though. I agree. Like, I was very caught off guard, because I do think from the story, it implies that in show canon, wisdoms who can listen to the wind at least highly suspect that means they can channel, which is a change, because Nynaeve is so resistant to that in the books. But, I mean, if that's something they just added in so they don't have to go through that part of arc and they can get to the more interesting stuff, that's okay.
Do you think it matters that Nynaeve might have a suspicion that she could channel? Like she might be putting two and two together that, well, if she went to the White Tower... do you think she's ever considered going to the White Tower herself?
I think this both explain, like, this story, I don't love it, but what it does functionally is say Nynaeve probably knows or suspects she can channel, but also Nynaeve hates the White Tower, so she was happy as a Wilder.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think it makes the character more interesting too, because in the books she's like, I hate the Aes Sedai. Oh, I can channel. Okay, I'll go to the White Tower, and like, that's like kind of a weird thing,
Well, I feel like she went to the White Tower more just because she wanted the training. And yeah, the dragon's right, it does give more light to why she would have a dislike for Aes Sedai out of the gate, but also, like, I really loved the interaction with her and Moraine when she's cleaning the pool, because it was sort of like, you see Moraine like building her up with praise, and it's not even like, she's not exactly condescending, or at least not to begin with, and it's sort of like, I'm like, I can feel that sense of praise giving Nynaeve a feeling of approval that she does not want, but at the same time, like, thrives off of, and so her getting, like, really conflicting feelings from that, and then Moraine kind of turning around and being like, but you've barely had that braid a year or whatever, so it's a very, like, emotionally complex scene where I thought Rosamund Pike did it really well, and then and you can see, like, Zoe just kind of, like, stoking the rage. Like, I appreciated Zoe talking about, like, one of the best things about playing Nynaeve was giving herself permission to be just angry, and and you can just sort of see that. But yeah, I thought that the way that Rosamund played it, where she was, like, being both, like, encouraging, not exactly condescending, and then almost, like, switching to, turning up the condescension as Nynaeve got angrier, and it was just, it was an interesting and well-played scene.
but not pushing too far. When she
Mhm.
said enjoy your walk, she turned and left.
Yeah, it was massively done.
Yeah, and she just really needed one bit of information.
Okay,
Just
here's
real
my
fast.
question
Oh,
about
go
the
ahead.
scene.
Go ahead.
I liked the exchange between them. I really didn't understand why it was in the cave, or how Moiraine knew where the cave was, or knew that Nynaeve would be in the cave.
Clearly, she said, "Where's the wisdom?" And they said, "She's in the secret cave. Go past the stump and take a right." And
Right.
that's how she found it.
Because we watched the women's circle like hiking a ways out of Emond's Field to get to this cave, and like it bothered me because it just contributed to a general lack of sense of place for me in the first episode, which I think maybe would have been fixed when they released the Rafe cut. But like, because later the Trolloc drags her at whatever 30 minutes or an hour outside of the Two Rivers again, I guess, to get to the cave. And it's like they really liked filming in that cave, which I get. It's a beautiful cave.
It's nice. It costs $10 million to build. Guys, I just want to thank everyone. I'm seeing a lot of new names in chat. Welcome and thank you for being here. This is we do this every week, and we're going to try and talk about the show in compared to books and whatnot. So thanks for being here. Like and subscribe. And guys, once again, thank you all for being here. I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to acknowledge all the great people that are going crazy in the chat right now. It's great.
They're going crazy. Yeah, it's a free for all. It's the Beatles coming to Dodger Stadium right now.
Yeah, it's
in the chat. You can't even hear us right now. They're so loud in chat they can't hear us.
So what do we think? So we've seen the first 3 episodes. I think personally it was a good idea to drop 3 instead of just 1.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But not to drop all 8. I think it would have been a better idea to have 10 episodes and made the first episode 2 so we could flesh out these characters just a little bit more, get to know Tam a little bit more. All we do is we see that Matt's parents are assholes. We see a parent has a wife that may or may not be pregnant. Who knows? There's some sort of... may have been that there was some sort of marital like discomfort going on that wasn't really that it's like this Chekhov's gun of relationship that just we're not going to be able to see fire because she gets killed.
I don't know. I think it's still there, Dan. I think
they're going to fill that in with flashbacks. I think that especially because Brandon Sanderson posted something on Reddit, I think, describing about how he had disagreed with Rafe about basically the fridging of Leila, but Rafe was kind of insistent on it, and so I'm assuming that Rafe must have had a reason, and I'm guessing with a lot of women writers and stuff like that, they understood that it's a problematic trope, so there's got to be more to it, and with just like a couple of scenes with Leila, there was so much there that was just sort of like with that relationship. And so it was just sort of like, what's going on? Because I'm like, is she just upset because like, she had a miscarriage or something like that? I felt like there was something going on with like she might be jealous of Egwene, or like she had some kind of conflict with her, or else it was just sort of like there was something going on. And so I feel like they're going to fill that in. And so they can't not, or else I'm disappointed. So
it's just here in chat right now. Please tweet out at the Wheel of Time, at Prime Video, release the hashtag RafeCut so we can know what's going on there. I want my 2-hour pilot.
Yeah.
Wow, they have a 2-hour pilot? Yeah, because it's sort of like the pilot was slightly shorter than episodes 2 and episodes 3, and I really feel because it wasn't as strong an episode as episode 2 especially, and I just feel like with a couple more scenes it would have been better. Because it was pretty good, but it could have been better.
Winter Night Battle was wonderful. In my opinion, that was fantastic. Jumping to Matt, jumping to Perrin, jumping to Egwene, jumping to Moiraine. It really did keep everyone. And then, I was on the edge of my seat the second time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, but the pacing of the rest of the things does seem a bit rushed. We just see that the Two Rivers, not Emond's Field, the Two Rivers, is what it is. Like, it's a happy place, and suddenly it just gets destroyed, and that's it.
I've watched it 4 times now, and each time the pacing seems a little bit better. So, but
Yeah.
that's
For me, Go on. For me,
That's
the
like-
pacing is great, except until the very, very end, when all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, it's all you guys. Let's
Time to
go.
go."
They're chasing you."
yeah,
and they
like,
all left.
Yeah, Tam was healed, man. Tam
Also, yeah, I didn't
could
care
have
for
just
that
said, "All right,
either.
I'm going with you."
The sort of like abracadabra of her healing, I really feel like, I don't know, like there should have been more to the way that the magic is done with the healing. I'm not exactly sure what, but it's just kind of the same way where Leandrin, when she gentles the guy, she's just like, I just felt like that looked cheesy.
Should have done like a full House MD deep dive into the tissue and watched the Sidar knitting together the bone
Yeah.
and muscle.
Oh,
Or-
like
Yeah.
Sherlock
like
Holmes style.
all of it would have been a much better scene to have all of the Red Sisters get off their horses, come up, walk around him, make a circle around him. Like that would have been ominous and just.
Was Leandra gentling him? Because I see people refer to that scene as gentling, but to me, I thought she was just torturing him.
I mean, she could have been. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's it. Our non-readers thought they just killed him.
Yeah, I don't know. And I also didn't care for that scene. Like, I didn't think it started very well. Like, I didn't like the scene they chose to intro it. I felt like that was too abrupt, and they should have done a much more like soft introduction. And then I felt like the scene with Leandrin, like having the Red Object catch up with someone and then having Moiraine and Lon be like, oh, that guy isn't it, that just seems like problematic, because it's just sort of like, what was she supposed to do? Like, what if he were that? Then it would have been like, oh shit. I mean, that's like doesn't make sense.
Not my problem. See ya. We're off to
Yeah.
She would have
It's like-
floated down the mountain, whoa, and stood in front of him, landed
And
2 feet.
also, I feel like the rumors of Tavern, the Ford Tavern, that's dumb, because a number of people have pointed out, how would those rumors have gotten out? They
It makes
wouldn't
no
have.
sense.
So that's
Oh.
not good writing. The better
No,
writing
I
would have been like, she's saying if you were gonna have her say it's not him, say he's shown no signs of being Taviran. Our next stop is the Two Rivers, and then when Lon asks her, as it's sort of like, the Trolloc, the Myrtle's got Trollocs coming, be like, do you know which it is? Which one has shown signs of being Taviran or something? And she's like, no, I don't know which one it is. Because. And then later on find that they're all Taviran or something like that. That would have been better writing.
Yeah.
I would have liked. Oh, go real fast. I would have liked if Lan said, "Well, he is 20 years old," and she's like, "Hardly."
Yeah, he looks a lot older than 20.
It's more like 48.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a possibility that Moiraine heard these rumors from Min?
But how?
No, Min doesn't see Taviran. I think it's just a silly line. I mean, Brandon Sanderson called it out specifically. He was like, that line wasn't in the draft I got to read. Or
Yeah,
else
Yeah,
said
no,
something
I hated
about
it myself. I wanted.
I
to
do wonder. I do wonder if the race cut had a better explanation for this, and the jumpiness and the weird lines that we're seeing are actually due to other exposition that got removed. Because I can see a world in which someone in the White Tower has a foretelling, right? And then that is the rumor of Taviran in South Andor, right?
Mhm.
And that's why Moiraine and Lan are down there. But if they cut that out, then she's just like, well, maybe there's rumors of Fort Taviran, and maybe I can see if it was a 2-hour pilot that all of this makes sense. And if you just cut out a couple of chunks here and there, you get what we got, which is kind of a weird writing situation.
So,
Carlos, is
sorry,
there
I'm
not-
gonna.
Yeah,
Oh,
Morgan.
go ahead, Sarah. I have to leave soon, but go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, if they're not gonna put emphasis on Taviran, I think they would have just left the word out, because no
Yeah.
non-reader caught that word. or
Yeah,
understood it.
I agree. It's such a central thing to the entire concept of the series, not just because it explains the plot armor so well, but it's just really important. And because it has not been described at all, but it has been mentioned. So if they weren't going to put emphasis on it, they wouldn't have mentioned it. I have to go. I'm really sorry.
Morgan, thank you so much for joining
Any
us.
minute you spend with us is a better minute for us.
If you guys are doing this again next weekend, I would love to come on again to talk about next episode. So
Yep.
that was me just inviting myself on.
Yep.
Yeah, no, publicly, I'm like, how do I say?
Brian,
You can't say no. It's rude. So
no,
anyway.
I'm 100% on board.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay, but bye everyone.
Bye.
So,
Have a good
take
night.
it easy. All right.
To address old Cav Trooper 22, it is nitpicking 100%. But nitpicking's fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're all nerds who have read the books, at least 5 times, and we have been immersed in the world the way it is in the books. And so when we watch the show, something's different. Our brains naturally go, hey, this isn't right. I need to think about this. I need to talk about this. We don't like things. Our brains are not wired to like things that are different and unexpected. Unexpected in a way that we don't want it to be unexpected. We were expecting something comfortable and familiar, and we got something slightly different than that. That's frustrating. But you're right. I mean, like that, it is fun to do this. Like this is why I like the Wheel of Time. I can nitpick about everything in every book. There's something that I can just dig really deep into and be like, that's weird, and I just love that stuff. So.
I agree. And so to that point then, let's talk about what we really, really liked. What changes we really liked. Sarah, are there any that come to mind for you?
Yeah, so the changes specifically that we liked?
No, I guess just parts of the show, I guess. Yeah, we don't have to be
I'll
that
do a
specific.
change because after the first 2 episodes, but this is why I'm glad they released 3, because after the first 2 episodes, I was like kind of starting to enter full panic mode, because Brian and I saw them on Monday and then had to wait a few days, and I was just like processing episodes 1 and 2. I'm like, wait, there's like so many little things that changed that didn't seem to add anything and stuff like that. But the change I did like was Dana the Dark Friend, because she's a completely new character, and I had been frustrated initially, like, why would you make up new characters? There's so many good characters already. But I thought Dana was an example of a good change because she is new, but she captured thematically a lot of the sorts of issues that Rand and Matt encounter on their journey. And I really liked her as an introduction to the Ishamael school of nihilistic dark friendery.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Love it.
I thought she was great.
And she also set the seed that you cannot trust anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. The Dana scene is an amalgamation, I think, of Pater, Samuel Hake, Howell Code, and the nameless woman in the stalls in the stable that tried to kill them, and they kind of rolled all that together in one scene, and that is, I think, more powerful than in the books, because in the books you have this repetitive, like, it's this weird flashbacky thing. You don't realize it's a flashback until it's over, and then you see this happens 4 times in a row, and then Matt and Rand are so dumb, they're like, oh, finally, after the 4th one, maybe we shouldn't trust people anymore. And that's like, but this they condensed all of that into one scene. It was really powerful, and you're like, oh my god, like anybody, someone who wanted to sleep with me 5 minutes ago could try to kill me because they're a dark friend, and I thought it was really smart to do it that way. So I agree with you, Sarah. It was great.
Apparently that inn, according to Reddit, someone had freeze framed on the sign out front, and it is the 4 Kings.
The inn is the 4 Kings, and the town is Breen Spring for some reason. That's an example of a change where I'm like, why do that?
Right.
I don't know. So that's a mixed bag. It really, again, it is nitpicking, and the name of the town doesn't matter at all.
Yep.
Brian, what was something that you really liked?
What is something I really liked? I'll tell you one thing I didn't miss is I did not miss Tom in episodes 1 and 2. I watched it and it was over, and it wasn't until I got home that I go, Tom wasn't there. But I loved him in episode 3 when he showed up, and I especially loved his relationship with Matt and the way that they kind of talked outside with the Aiel, and Tom gets Matt in a way that nobody else does. Not even Perrin and Rand, who are his best friends.
I love that scene.
I love that.
That made me love both Tom and the new take on Matt. their whole exchange there.
Well, okay, let's talk about this man in the cage then.
Yeah.
It is obviously an Aiel.
Stone dog.
A stone dog, correct. What was that?
A little bling.
What was that little bling?
Just a little bling.
I have no idea. I've been thinking about it a lot because I filmed a series of reviews with my non-reader friend, and I noticed that they got really caught up on that crystal, understandably, because the show makes a big deal out of it.
Yep.
And I'm like, what is this thing? Like, it's weird because if it's valuable, you'd think the townsfolk would have stolen it, and if it's like, what? I couldn't think of anything from the books that jumped out at me that seemed like that's what it was going to be, unless like he meets some Aiel later and they're like, oh, that's Gaul's crystal. We like that. You're friends now.
Yeah, that is it is reminiscent of the scene with Gaul when Perrin meets Fael later on in the books. And I do wonder if this suggests that they're cutting Gaul from the story. Because it is a stone dog who is in a cage, and in Perrin's scene in the books, he rescues Gaul before he dies in the cage, and in this one we find a stone dog that's dead. So I do wonder if this isn't sort of a hint, an Easter egg to us book readers that potentially Gaul is being cut, but they wanted to give him a little shout out too.
Now,
I agree.
Do you think that the action of him taking those items is going to be fortuitous for him, or is it going to make him in a sticky situation? And I'd love for chat to answer also. If we were doing some sort of poll, I would say I go with thumbs up for is it going to be good for him, or thumbs down if it's going to be bad for him.
Gaul would be a big cut. I agree with that.
Gaul would be a big cut. It would be a big cut, but you know, if Perrin, what Gaul represents for Perrin is almost a best friend, but he kind of has that in Fael. We talked about this on Barside Chats a couple months ago. If we were going to cut streamline Perrin's plotline, what would we remove? And Gaul really doesn't bring much to the plot. The plot, he brings stability into Perrin's life and says like Perrin's like super insecure, right? And then Gaul's like, no man, you're cool, you're smart, you're strong, you know. And he's the one who really gives Perrin like that brotherly love, that brotherly thing. But you don't really need that if Perrin can get that from somewhere else. So you could cut Gaul and you don't really lose a whole lot from the big plot, but he is a fan favorite. Everybody loves Gaul. There's a huge Stone Wolf faction out there where they're shipping Perrin and Gaul together.
That's where I'm at. Like, if they cut Gaul, I'll be very sad, just because
I'll be very sad too.
As friends with benefits.
Apparently, Elias is gone, right?
I don't think that's definite yet.
Okay.
I think Elias might come back because I don't think there will be time in season 1 for Perrin to really dig into his wolf powers. I think we'll just start to get glimmers of them. I think he might meet. Well, my personal theory is they're going to merge Elias and Hopper. He'll meet Elias at the end of season 1, beginning of season 2. Elias will die and become his guide in the wolf dream.
His wolf thing. That's possible.
Long thing.
Speaking of the wolf dream and going back to like one of the changes, which was Leila, Perrin's dream, he dreams of a wolf eating Leila. What's that about?
I just think that's some Ishamael shit, personally.
You think so?
I do too.
Because the wolves, in the books, the wolves like protect dreams, right? Like one of the reasons that Perrin doesn't have to worry about the Balsamon anymore in the dreams is because he has the wolves to protect him. And so if a wolf is in the dream protecting him, and the wolf is eating Leila, what does that mean?
Eat human guts like that. Like, that's just seemed out of character to a real wolf. So that's why I think
there's a theory that Leila was a dark friend.
Yep.
See, I've heard that, and that makes no sense to me.
I don't like that
because Leila had 90 seconds of actual on-screen time. We have not seen
in the not Wraith cut.
We have not seen any concept of dark friends yet. We have no reason to like or hate her, and so if she betrayed Perrin, there would be no emotional impact on this one way or the other. We'd be like, what the fuck? and that's it. It wouldn't make sense.
Dan knows what's up. Mandark knows what's up.
I don't think she's a dark friend. She has her hammer raised to help Perrin kill the Trolloc.
You don't think he's about to brain him in the back of the head while he's trying to kill the Trollocs?
She 1v1s a Trolloc on her own. She saves Perrin from a Trolloc at one point. Why would she do any of that if she was just going to then brain him with a hammer? It makes no sense.
You guys are dark people.
You are losing this argument in the court of public opinion, Sarah.
No, well, fine.
Oh, the court
Oh no, this is great. This is the best take ever. Wait,
I'm with Sarah.
Leila wasn't at the Women's Circle event because she was killing the sheep.
I just don't think it's needed. I think it undercuts the weight of that moment. Like, could she be a dark friend? Sure. I just think it would be a mistake for them to do that. If you're going to introduce a wife for Perrin to kill in order to spur his emotional development and his fear of his violent nature or whatever, like, you have to own that shit. And I feel like retconning her into a dark friend and kind of like rationalizing the violence Perrin committed for the audience so they don't have to feel as bad, that's cheating.
Yeah, I think there's
so on board.
Yeah. I think
so you'd rather they just introduce a powerful woman and just kill her off just so we can have... I mean, like...
Right.
I don't think... If you're going to do it, but I don't think you need to, like, rationalize the violence you're going to commit.
Yeah. I think the significance of Leila's death is much more about Perrin's character development than anything else. And, like, the fact that he used an axe to kill her now gives her a very solid reason to... It gives him a very solid reason to not want the axe. You read the books, like, one of his central themes is, like, the axe versus the hammer. But, like, you don't really get the sense of why. Why doesn't he like the axe? Because when he talked to the Tinkers, he says, I am, wouldn't you defend yourself if your family was... What if the Trollocs come? What if the Dark One comes? Wouldn't you defend yourself? Like, he's not a pacifist. He sees a need for an axe, but he doesn't want the axe in the books. And that doesn't make... They don't really set that up very well. Robert Jordan didn't set that up very well. But in the show, his axe killed his wife. And now he's like, I do not want this axe anymore. And so he's going to have this internal conflict for forever about, I don't want this axe, I don't want this axe, I don't want this axe. And, of course, the day he wants to throw away his axe is the big character development moment. So I think that was the point of all that. I don't really buy that she was a dark friend. The dream sequence is what makes it weird. It's like makes me wonder, like, okay, why was she in the dream? But
what happens is we see Balsamon like in the window. We see his eyes.
Yeah, that was
flame,
creepy too.
And then he goes around and he sees that. So to me, I'm with you, Sarah, that this was just Balsamon fuckery. That he was just like Rand saw his mom in a dream, saying, "Rand, help me! They're gonna kill me and rape me." That wasn't real. I don't think this was real, like, at all. I think it was just red eye fuckery.
Yeah.
Quote me.
If it ends up with her being a dark friend, like, I'm not saying it's impossible. I am saying I will be disappointed.
I will say I strongly suspect that there will be more flashbacks about Leila. And so we will get more information about this.
I'm all aboard the Leila had a miscarriage train. Like, I think the way she was acting, the way they were focusing on her stomach, I think that's why she wasn't at the Egwene thing. I think that's why Nynaeve is like, hey, why aren't you with your fucking wife instead of at this party right now? She needs you, Perrin.
Right.
Like, people are looking at Leila being, like, sad and depressed and, like, not in a great place and using that as evidence that she was a dark friend. I'm like, come on, people, you can be depressed. It doesn't mean you're a dark friend.
Yeah. So she had too many honey cakes. She's more needing.
Wait, what? Did Tam eat honey cakes that morning when he's like, is breakfast too early? And he's like, not for your mother's bread.
No,
was that a honey cake?
It should have been, is the answer.
All right, so I'm firmly on the side of Leila being a dark friend, and I do believe the wolf eating her innards is a sign, and that we're going to get this information later, and it'll be revealed. The way it's going to be revealed, I think I can't figure that out yet. I've been trying to puzzle out that, but it makes a lot of sense, and I do think it's reasonable for a dark friend to be playing the long game. like she would be. If she were, for her to be taking that moment when Padden Fane finally calls in the attack, for her to make her attack, seems like the most reasonable thing in the world. Maybe they hadn't identified who it was, maybe they hadn't figured out who the targets were, but that night would be the night to do it.
I would
Whether
say this
not worth it.
conversation is exactly what Rafe was going for.
Yeah,
When
I
they
know.
did
Yes.
this.
Right.
I thought,
So-
well, I saw some people talking on Twitter, like, Rafe said in an interview that Leila's not a dark friend. I haven't seen that interview, so I don't know if that's true. But Ryan,
He said we're noticing something that's worth noticing when we say, why is her axe up? He said, well, that's something worth noticing.
I see.
I think is the gist of it. So he's doing a little like RJ
What a
action
troll.
himself right there.
They're
Yeah,
all
we'll watch and find
trolls.
Yeah.
The majority of people who answered the Dusty Wheels poll last night thought that Leila was a dark friend. So you're not alone, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Oh, good. So, thank you. We've been off the radar, just trying to focus on our own reactions. There's so many people's opinions out that we don't want to really taint our little felt.
Taint. You said taint.
We're very spongy, and we don't want to get too much into this head before we spit out our own takes. But that I'm not surprised that the Dark Friend is out there. Did everyone notice the whistle? We talked about this, Brian, right after the episode. The whistle happens again. First we see it with the Fade, and then we see it with Shadow Logoth, and then I think we even see it in episode 3. We hear it.
Didn't you
again.
say it was in Padden Fane? Was whistling
Padden
it
Fane
or
himself was
something?
whistling it, but then it's been like a soundtrack kind of like sound effect.
Yeah. Where was it in episode 3? I didn't notice that.
No,
I didn't hear it in
regretting
episode
saying
3.
that. Okay, it might not have been in episode 3, but that link, when I heard it, that pissed me off a little bit. Like, isn't there supposed to be a progression of events before him to be able to be like influencing Mashadar, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because what we hear is the whistle, and then Mashadar starts creeping up and killing horses and shit. And they're putting this link in there between Padden Fane, the Fade, and Mashadar by having this weird whistle sound effect.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way. That's interesting. What I took away from it, at least in Shadar Logoth, or however they say it,
Shadar Logoth.
in Shadow Logoth, is a...
You should do the Hermione
thought the
meme about Leviosa,
Yeah.
Shadar.
I thought the implication was that it was Padden Fane who was kind of guiding Matt to the Ruby
to
Hilted
the
dagger,
treasure, yeah.
rather
Well,
than
Oh, so he
straight
was
up
like,
Mordeath.
okay.
Maybe
physically
I think.
there.
I mean, why would Padden Fane know about
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
ruby dagger? So I think it's more Padden Fane's wandering around and Matt's following the shadow and finds the treasure. And I don't know. There's also remember, like, I don't think there's any evidence in the show that Padden Fane was, other than the whistle, that he was actually in Shadow Logoth. Like, that's something that we find out in the books at the
Right.
very, very end. In the books, you don't find out until Faldara that Padden Fane had been following them to Shadow Logoth and the
Yeah.
ways eventually.
And I don't think this is something most non-readers will pick up on.
Yeah,
so I think it's
non-readers
just
won't
like
pick up on it.
Mhm.
a clever little thematic thing like that.
Not at all. Unless we see Padden Fane, he just is watching the whole attack. He's like, "Peace out, bro." And
I mean, he's definitely
just
a
leaves.
bad guy.
No, he's smiling at. I mean, he's like smiling in a casual, jaunty way. I mean, like, that's clearly.
I didn't
he
pick up
was-
on that.
Oh
honest.
yeah, he's sitting there like watching for a while, and then he
Yeah.
just walks away on his own accord, and he's not running. He's just he seemed to be pretty happy with what was going on. He had the same face he had on when he was watching the bell time. It was very specifically the same posture and the same
Yeah.
facial expression.
How
Very
many
creepy.
lanterns did he bring with him? He didn't have a very big cart, and yet hundreds of lanterns on
You know,
the river.
they fold up really nicely when they aren't
Yes, yeah.
put in the log.
It's like IKEA, man. It's just really well
Yeah,
packaged.
they're flat pack.
Another thing, and I guess it's a little bit of gripe time again. Tam Althor has a book of matches. Are we not getting a Ludra? Is a Ludra?
If we don't get a Ludra, we riot.
I'm
We'll
gonna
get a
riot.
Ludra.
And
I am Team Eludra all the way.
Yep.
that was her multi-million-dollar plan. Was
Yeah.
matches.
Ah, well, she has plenty of other inventions that she can contribute. But I agree. Her fire sticks are her multi-million-dollar scheme. When were matches invented?
Shit, like in the 40s or something. Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, and you hear him strike it on the. So it's like, please close cover before striking, or it's like one of those like, yeah. He even had flint on the box.
But how do you do I guess the question would be, how would you do that lantern scene with no matches? I guess you'd have to have like a one fire and then somebody walking around with the torch to light all of them.
Yeah, you would have a fire very nearby.
But like, you have a big fire, and you stick a big flame inside that thing, the whole thing's gonna go up in flames. You gotta have matches if you're gonna have a lantern ceremony like that.
Yeah, or a twig.
You're right, yeah, though.
No, if only they invented twigs.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm on the Wikipedia page for matches.
Awesome.
And in the Western world, they were invented in 1805, but in China, there's references to matches going as far back as the 1360s. So.
Oh, damn! When Darren was saying the 40s, he meant the 1340s.
So,
really just 1340s.
Yeah. Well, so here's the other thing. There's multiple points in the show that really kind of hammer home that we are not talking about medieval world. We are talking about a distant dystopian future, where this is actually thousands and thousands of years after. So the knowledge of matches could have existed, could have survived the breaking and the War of the Shadow and all that stuff. There are in Brain Springs, there's someone with an LL Bean jacket. So
is there?
You know,
I didn't know.
LL Bean has survived the break-in.
Are they in the inn? I want to go see that.
I do believe that in our history, gunpowder and firearms were invented before matches. Maybe the Chinese came up with matches, but I mean, so it is a technological advance to have a portable fire source.
She just looked it up, and it was the 1800s.
Yeah.
When are guns invented?
1300s for China.
I know, in the Western world, when are guns invented?
1804. Oh, before then, we had them in the Revolutionary War. We had a boat with guns.
Muskets. All right, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, in China they had sort of the equivalent of what Eludra goes on to invent. In very early, like the 800s.
All right, so do you guys notice that twice during these episodes, Mario Brother got a gold coin? Ding! And when Maureen is channeling in the bath, ding! When Egwin's channeling the fire, ding!
Yeah.
Do you think that like Lan and Perrin heard that sound,
or is that just for our benefit as the viewer?
That's for the viewer.
That's for the viewer. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we had not seen Maureen channel yet, and so if I'm a new reader and I don't know she's really magic, then when she does her like weird hand wavy thing, how am I going to know she's heating up the hot tub without a lovely little sound effect?
Ding!
Okay. The whisk. Well, otherwise, Dumai's Wells would sound like this.
True. Which is how I always imagined it. So.
They're just throwing weaves around.
Cowbells, Dan?
No, that was my cling.
All right, so yeah, you just think that that's just for the audience and not for anybody. Okay, so, and I noticed that it doesn't happen consistently. It wasn't like there was these like nice little, like when she'd hit a Trolloc with a fireball, it didn't go ding.
Yeah,
it only happened.
And a coin pop up.
It's almost like they're saying, "Oh, this is just a little bit of channeling." Like Egwin trying the fire. Oh, that's just a little bit of channeling. So you get that little charming sound, I guess.
Let me ask you, Brian. Moraine pulled apart the wine spring inn to kill the Trolloc attack, correct? No, Sarah, you're shaking your head?
No, she did it. I'm shaking my head at the decision.
Oh, how many women and children were... This was the center of town. We see
12.
that everyone runs. Perrin runs to the forge. They all run. And why wouldn't you run to the biggest building for shelter? How many villagers died by her actions?
Hey, collateral damage.
At least 11.
At least 11.
At least 11. I don't know how many. I wasn't.
Yeah,
counting.
I strongly disagree, Brian. I think it was at least 12.
At least 12.
What?
Oh, okay.
No, we're playing Price is Right rules here.
She just did the Price is Right. What up? Yeah.
Oh, God.
I guess
$1.
0.
Oh, man.
One. Just the scratches the cat died, and that was it.
Also, Matt finds his sisters. They are in the best hiding spot in the entire village.
And then he takes them out.
and says,
Yes.
"Go run in the woods." I would have said,
I liked it.
I
"Good
would've
job,
crawled in
girls.
there with them, you know?
Stay here." Yeah, we're gonna hang out here.
Now,
How
when
did
she
you
tore down
know
the
where to
inn,
look?
I was very confused when she tore down the Wine Spring Inn because I feel like it is so much harder to send Saidar through all of the joinery of a stone inn and then hurl giant stone blocks at Trollocs than it is to use your air blades that have proven so effective.
But I
already.
think we're forgetting the fundamental rule of television. It has to look cool.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, I know. Like
And,
they
like,
wanted the drama. They wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
so
they wanted to show the
there's
audience.
another scene that bothered me, which is the next day they leave in broad daylight. They
Yeah.
just they're riding off to Tavern,
Oh, God.
and they look
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
they
yeah.
wave, and Tam
And
is like,
Tam's
"Bye."
all fine.
And, like,
Tam's like the
like-
proud father.
and then they look off and they see the Trollocs coming, and they go, "Well, we're out of here."
Don't worry, they'll
And then
follow us. Don't
but-
worry about them.
But the thing that's weird is that they left in broad daylight. In the books, they leave in the middle of the night. They sneak out in dark.
Because
And the
you have
reason,
to convince the whole village.
and so it's a weird decision for me because it would have been cheaper. You would have less, fewer cast members on screen if they snuck out in the middle of the night, and it adds some suspense and it highlights the urgency and all that stuff. And you wouldn't. And one of the consequences of leaving in the middle of the day was that you can't have Nynaeve there, which is one of the reasons why they had her dragged off by a Trolloc by the braid and the night before, because she couldn't be in town when they left in broad daylight, or else she would have stopped them or gone along with them. So, but if they had just snuck out in the middle of the night, they could have. Nynaeve didn't necessarily have to be dragged away. So my thought process then is, well, it's cool to watch her be dragged off by her braid, right? That was a cool scene. And then, so whenever I see some of these weird decisions like this, I just think to myself, why would they do it? Because it looked cool. And so why did you tear down the Wine Spring Inn? Because it looks cool. Why did you drag Nynaeve off? It looks cool. Why did Leila get an axe in the stomach? Because it looks cool. And I think that's just the core rule of filmmaking. And you can't complain too much about that.
That is true, but that can't be the only reason. Especially when it's if it's something like tearing apart the Wine Spring Inn that has no real plot impact. If you're not going to consider the at least 12 Emmons Fielders who are crushed by that action, I agree with you.
At least.
That's just a thing for dramatic impact.
Well,
but
so
the Leila chop, you can't. I think they might have done it just for the gut punch.
I freaked out. I was sitting next to you. I freaked out when that happened. I was like, oh!
Yeah.
I don't know, but
it's a powerful
It
moment.
was really effective.
I freaked out when Egwin's dancing partner Tom died.
Yeah.
That's true.
One
thing about tearing down the inn though is it potentially sets up the Emmons Field when Perrin comes back later, right? What is the inn going to look like then? It's probably not going to look exactly the same. It's going to look more like a fortress. They're going to have a wall. They're going to have guards. They're going to have turrets sticking out of it. They're going to have all kinds of stuff, and you can't really do that with the existing inn. So tearing down the existing inn and it gives an opening for when they come back. It's a completely different town with a completely different mindset, and that's part of why why Perrin is I don't belong here anymore. I need to go back out with my army and save Rand and all that stuff. So this could be, one of those. It could be a decision that unlocks future potential later, even though it's kind of a weird one to look at. But if you think, I'm trying to be optimistic, my rose-tinted glasses, and say okay, this actually sets up cool stuff down the line.
My more nitpicky. I have two more nitpicky complaints about.
Do it, Sarah.
First, okay, when Tom is dancing and then just shink, there's the blade in his chest. Where did that blade come from? because the next thing we see, like, that's an axe. That's not a thrown knife. That's a big-ass Trolloc axe. And then the next scene is the Trolloc busting in through the wall with his axe. So I don't know who chops Tom. My second nitpick is a progressive a trend in episodes 1 and 2. The Trollocs have at least one throwing knife because they throw it at Moraine. Where are the rest? Like, they hit Moraine with the knife, and then Moraine and Lan just stare at this group of Trollocs, and they're like, "Woo, we did it! We hit her with one knife." Like, where are their
it looks
arrows?
cool. It's just
Where are their knives? When they escape onto the ferry at Terran Ferry, and the Trollocs are just like, "Damn, they're 20 feet away from us.
Oh
There's nothing
man,
we can do.
it's wet.
We left our one throwing knife back in Emmons Field."
yeah.
Well, all right. Also, let's talk about Tam and Rand.
Yeah, let's talk about Tam and Rand.
One Trolloc.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah,
One. Was this a
Because Nard's
concerted?
smart.
Was this a concerted effort or a lost Trolloc?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay,
think that's
Nard's
part of the
stupid.
rave
Nard can't follow a group.
Nard lost.
Nard lost. They probably did rock, paper, scissors, and you know, Nard was like, "Hey, go check out this house and make sure that the chosen one isn't there." And that guy lost.
In the books, I mean, there was at least a dozen there.
There were at least a dozen.
And so and Tam is a bit rusty. Tam did much more poorly than, let me list them: Days Conger, Leila Albara, Nynaeve. Who else
Everybody.
did wet punches? Everyone.
He's old,
was
dude.
better
He's
than
old.
Tam.
Gotta give him a break.
Yeah, I thought that was okay, actually. He's an old dude who, like, hasn't practiced the forms in 20 years.
Yeah.
Hey, over here. You know.
I think there were more Trollocs outside. That's what I'm telling myself. It's in the Rafe cut. They
in the Rafe
have
cut.
more Trollocs.
Rand had just snuck around them, got the litter, got them on.
Well, he had Bella
amazing.
this time, so...
So, speaking, going further with Tam, the end of the episode 1 pretty much has Tam in an old woman blanket. He seems fully healed, just kind of cold, and he gives a nod. You know, go on. That's my boy. That's my
See you
boy.
later, kid.
Hey, peace out. I guess you got my sword. Good luck.
Yeah.
So the Tam I know and love said, "Hey, all right, boy, you gotta go. I'm coming with you." And they're like, "No, you're too sick. You can't fucking move." He's like,
Yeah.
"I still want to come." This Tam was just like, "Right, if you can, come back with a grandbaby, would you?"
Yeah. See you at Christmas.
Rafe cut again. Hashtag give us the Rafe cut.
Rafe cut.
I think there's a lot
Rafe
of
cut.
Rand Tam shit that we didn't get to see, and maybe we'll see it in the flashbacks. But like, we have to get Tam's mutterings, because without it, you don't have Rand freaking out over his parentage. And
Well, again, if he does freak out about his parentage, then it becomes more obvious to the viewer. So, what's likely to happen is if we're going to have that scene, it's going to be much later in the season, right before we find out right when we find out who the Dragon Reborn is. You'll see this flashback, and it'll be like all the evidence lined up, and be like, I should have seen this all along. I'm tall, I'm redheaded, my dad doesn't look like me at all. You know, he has a cool sword, and like, you know, that's going to all add up, and you're going to see. It'll all like fall into place, I think, if they do it right. Yeah. But if they did it now, it would be too obvious.
I totally get that. I think though the cost of maintaining that mystery of who is the Dragon Reborn, which personally I don't know that that's like worth it as a prize. The cost is that Rand looks like a whiny little bitch for all of episodes 2 and 3. But at least
emo Rand.
At least in the books, he has a genuine like, oh, you're panicking because you like just found out your dad might not be your dad, and you like watched your town get destroyed. So I get that. But in the show now, it's like my non-reader friend was like, you weren't even there when the town was attacked. Y'all had to fight one Trolloc, and you didn't even fight him. You weren't even there, and now you're just pissed because your girlfriend broke up with you, and everybody else has real problems they're dealing with, and it just makes him look really bad, I think.
Ryan and I came up with the phrase "randsplaining" because when Egwin was building up the courage to tell tell him her truth and say, I've decided to study with Nynaeve, he cuts her off like 3 words out and says, I already know. And then just stops her and she just cries. There's another time when she was going to say it and he cuts her off kissing. Another Ransplain, but come on, baby. So he doesn't listen so well, I don't think. Anyways.
Yeah. No, he's
this is great. Rand is a mopey, broody git, and that's what we got. Yeah, he was playing perfect. He's played perfectly.
Resident Sedai, I mean,
he's a mopey brat for the entire series. Like, it's not until like the very, very, very end that he stops being a mope.
But he's at least clearly the protagonist in the books. It is a bold strategy to convert it to a total ensemble cast, make Rand, I think, the least likable of any of them, and then when he's inevitably the chosen one, I think it's going to be disappointing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good point, because Egwene is so likable.
Egwene's likable, Matt's really likable, and Matt would have like a really cool arc finding out he's the dragon. Perrin has a lot of shit he needs to get through. Like, I don't know. Rand is, my favorite character in fiction, but
who's your favorite character on the series? Who's your favorite character on the series? Yeah.
Oh, Nynaeve. Zoe Robbins is doing such incredible work with Nynaeve. She's like perfect.
How about you, Brian?
Nynaeve, hands down. She's fantastic. I think everybody's great on the show. I think perfectly cast across the board. It's honestly like I like Tom. I think was my favorite. Had my favorite scenes. I just loved seeing Tom. I thought it was like the costume's fantastic. The acting was great. His scene with Matt was great. But Nynaeve is really, I think, blowing away expectations because she's not my favorite character in the books, but in the show, absolutely, like totally one of the top.
To me, when Matt's on screen, go ahead.
Brother Dan and I are Matt stands.
Yeah. When Matt's on screen, I can't stop watching him. He has a charisma about him. I think Barney Harris is killing it.
Yeah, he's killing it. Which makes it sadder that he's not going to be in season 2.
I think that's why. Like, Barney's doing a great job. I was definitely like preaching some Barney hate before the show came through, based on like some of the few clips we saw him in. But I was totally wrong. Everything Barney has done in the show has been incredible. He's a fantastic Matt. I think I have some protective barriers built up knowing that he's leaving.
Yeah.
So,
same.
Yeah. Marcus has one of the most magnificent faces on television right now. Gosh, his grief face.
His grief face. Dan, show me your grief face.
Oh, that's so.
I mean,
that's so. Oh man.
I can tell you just axed your wife.
You're making my heart break, man.
Oh, you're Billy Zane?
Look at me. How was that end scene? How was that, guys?
Aaron and Leila. Very sad.
Yeah. Marcus has a face that I also I wish I could paint or sculpt well. I would want to do his face. It was wonderful.
Who would do his face?
I would do his face.
Marcus is even slumping around when he's like running during action scenes. He's not even big and tall yet. Even when he's like running away with Egwene, he just kind of has his like shoulders hunched, and he still has this kind of like he hasn't become himself yet. It's very subtle details are put.
I will say that the village itself is wonderfully diverse, and as a result, Rand does not stand out at all. He's not taller than Perrin. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no. So I was going to say again. This goes back to like, do they want to spoil it for anybody else? Like, if you read the books, the Two Rivers people are fairly homogenous. I mean, they don't really describe it that way, but like, Rand is clearly an outsider in the books. He's clearly taller. He's got red hair. He's clearly not Tam's son. And he's the only one who doesn't figure that out. And then, but in the show, the entire town is diverse. Like, there's black people, white people, Asian people, tall people, old people, young people, redheads, brunettes, blondes, and you like Rand does not stand out at all.
No. So she is just going based on the Tavern-ness instead of, oh, there's this dude who looks like a fucking Aiel in a village where there is no Aiel.
We at least do still get that. It is still the case that only Aiel have red hair, it seems like.
Yes. He's the only one we've seen with red hair. And so that way he's the only one that sticks out, but it's not obvious. It's not obvious to non-readers.
It's not obvious
they're not going to pick up on that detail. Now, it'll be one of those things where, like, several episodes from now, when we meet the Aiel for real, not a live Aiel, and then they're all redheads, somebody's going to go, oh, wait a minute, Rand is actually a redhead too, and then they're going to have this interesting dynamic there. But in the first 3 episodes, he does not stand out at all. And I think, to somebody asked if that's deliberate, I think that's absolutely deliberate. I think they're trying to keep him in the background.
I will say my friend is firmly convinced Rand will be the dragon and very disappointed.
Oh, wow. Why disappointed?
He shouldn't be disappointed. He's right.
Yeah.
Or they're right.
They
don't know.
They think that they're disappointed because they're like, I guess, in a show that is so diverse and that has so many interesting characters, that the chosen one is even still just going to be like a skinny white guy who is just like,
Actually,
Kind of has to be, though. Kind of has to be a redhead.
How about this, though? Let's take that controversy even further. How did your friend feel about the fact that the 2 bad people are like the darkest skinned characters we've met so far?
Well, we don't know Padden Fane is bad. You guys are just jumping to, obviously, Padden Fane. He doesn't seem like he orchestrated this in the show.
He was reveling in the violence.
He was loud. He was like watching, like he was drinking a beer, watching the Married with Children. In the 80s.
I understand. Okay.
Also, we know that Padden Fane is a bad guy.
That's it. We know he sucks.
We didn't get into the discussion of colorism on that interview because, well, we just didn't. We were 2 white people and didn't really feel like it was our place to get dive into it. But I did really appreciate all the comments on Twitter from No Taishar and from S. I think there's definitely a trend that's worth calling out and worth thinking about.
It's definitely a conversation worth having.
Yeah, and we know that there's going to be way more bad people and way worse things being done by those bad people. And if you were to line up all the bad people, I'm sure it's going to be a very diverse crew. But it just seemed to, for the very first 2 episodes, for this show to be kind of like being criticized for being so woke before anyone's watched an episode. I thought that was a pretty interesting choice, but hopefully it's not going to be indicative of anything, a trend moving forward. All right. How are we guys doing?
We do know that the Amaryllis is a woman of color as well. So, I mean, that we do have, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's all the bad people are dark and the good people are good.
Colorism's complicated because it's not just about the race of the characters. It's about like the actual lightness or darkness of the skin tone within the people of color on screen.
Yep.
Right.
Like all of the good black people are the lighter skin. And you know, the darkest, like Ryan said, the darkest ones are the evil ones. And that is problematic. It's not as simple as just saying people of color.
Even that scene with the white cloaks, like Valda's being all creepy ass, and then the one guy who's even helpful and reasonable at all is like the whitest white cloaks. He's got bleach white hair. He's like the whitest variation of them, and it's just like, oh, to put that juxtaposition right on our faces. I thought, yes, like thematically, yes, dark, but dark. Being dark, like, fuck, get the skin out of it.
Matt did steal from a dark skinned woman. She had a gold bracelet that Matt later pawned to Padden Fane. I believe it was that woman who won when he was gambling, and she had very dark skin, and she was a victim. And that, I mean, that was just the one example that we ever saw of her. But
we find out later she was a dark friend. Dan, come on.
Was she a dark friend?
Everyone is absolved of their sins in Emmonsfield because they're just a bunch of dark friends.
I'll quote S on Twitter, who's at Oh God It's S. And she says, here's the thing. Like, if my dad watches The Wheel of Time, the current episodes that are out, he's white. And when he can see himself in a loving father, a morally gray white cloak, a gambler trying to provide for his sisters, and a gleeman singing in a tavern. When I, as a mixed race person, watch his vote, I see myself in Egwene, Nynaeve, Dana, hell, 3/4 of the people we can see in Emond's Field. But when my mom watches Wheel of Time, and who is a dark-skinned black woman, she can only see herself in a black woman who exists to be stolen from, a peddler who whistles and smiles while Trollocs kill villagers, and a white cloak who burns women alive. Oh. So that's kind of S's summary of the discussion. And
thank you for sharing that.
That's really well said.
Of course,
it's a discussion worth having. I'm not sure that I am in a good position to have that discussion.
Yeah.
I can advocate for more fair representation on screen and storytelling, but I am not somebody who has lived through that experience, and I would like to leave that conversation to people who have had that experience.
That's why I'm just reading directly from S.
Yep.
No,
yep.
That's very helpful.
Totally, 100%. I would have read that too. Like you beat me to it. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think there's a lot of good discussions. I mean, no piece of media is ever going to be perfect, but I do at least really appreciate all the efforts to up the diversity in the casting. And I really loved the moment when Dana suggests that Rand and Matt are dating, and Rand is just like, "Oh no, it's look. If I wanted a man, I could do better." And it's not like a flare up.
That dirtbag.
Speaking of swearing,
oh yeah, that's annoyed me.
Matt.
Yes. Shit.
Matt says shit, and then Rand says shit, and I was like, whoa.
Nope.
Matt says bloody ashes. He does not say shit. So that's probably that's the thing that I think took me out of that scene while they were walking across the mountaintops. Not because I don't like swearing, but it's I feel like
he also calls Patton Fane a right bastard. Which there are book terms we could have used. You're a fucking woolhead, or I mean, your mother's a
fucking
goat.
Mother's milk and a goddamn.
Your mother's a
cow.
goat. He's like, yeah.
You probably smelt of elderberries. Yeah, could have done that. But yeah.
Was the symbology of the dragon fang and the flame of Tarvalon? Was that a little heavy-handed, or did you find it cool?
The jury's still out on the sheep because we don't yet have an in-world explanation for why the sheep were arranged that way. Mm-hmm. The blood in the pool when Nynaeve kills the Trolloc, cheesy as hell, and I hated it.
I loved it. I think I talked to a few non-readers, and most of them did not pick up on it. They picked up on the sheep, but they didn't pick up on. There's 4 or 5 other instances I can think of with the dragon thing or the flame shows up, and they didn't pick up on any of that. So
that's actually helpful to know.
I do think it's a little Easter eggy for us, the book readers. But it can be overdone. I feel like it has been overdone a little bit. It's the pool was a little cheesy, and then I happen to like it, but it's
the pool just
not
bothered
really
me
necessary.
because it's so clearly only a style choice for a television audience, so it put me out because there's no in-world explanation for why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's done with the meta knowledge that it is being viewed.
We have not seen the symbol of the White Tower, the Tarvalon, at all. We have not seen that yin yang actually in story at all. Yeah.
Well,
so that's why I think it's a book thing. It's a nod to the book readers. I think right now, the significance of the dragon's fang also hasn't been explained. I don't think, and neither is the flame of Tarvalon. So you have the two halves shown independently with no real explanation, and I don't think it's till we get to the White Tower that somebody will explicitly point out, oh, these fit together like the yin and the yang, and that these are the significance of it. And I think then people will go, oh, that makes sense. And then if they rewatch it, they'll start to catch these little Easter eggs. And I think that's brilliant because, as all of us know, with rereading the series, it gives us more and more layers to choose from. And how often do you rewatch series? You usually don't. But I think they're going through and setting this one up as being eminently rewatchable. And I mean, we've already rewatched the first 3 episodes how many times?
Yeah.
So
So
Yep.
did you notice in your rewatchings, and I encourage everyone to do this, when Egwene gets out of the river, she lies in the Flame of Tarvalon
Yep.
shape.
I didn't
And
notice
when
that.
Dana dies, she lies on the ground in the shape of the dragon's fang. It's very subtle.
Didn't notice that second one.
Hey, you learn something.
Hey-o.
Hey,
Learn
puppets
something
are
every
smart.
day.
Puppets
Yeah.
are
So,
smart.
but the whole idea that Lan is going to be like trolling around the two rivers and find a bunch of slaughtered sheep shaped in that dragon's fang is. So I don't know what everyone's saying. It seemed to me just like if there's any function, it's asinine. Like why would you warn anybody? You want a surprise attack on these villagers. Why are we warning anybody? So I think it's I can't imagine anyone coming up with a reason unless it's some sort of like magical portal shape that helps them. You know,
I also
don't
thought
know.
it was
Made
very
no
strange that in this town, this agrarian village, populated largely by shepherds, why did no one realize their sheep had been slaughtered? And why did no one come into town like, my sheep were done?
Because
being
everybody's in
slaughtered."
town for about time.
Who stole my 12 goats?
Maybe.
Like
I don't know.
Tam and Rand are not at home at their farm.
They
with their
go
sheep.
home.
They're in Emmons Field.
Yeah,
That's true.
And
But
actually,
they
let's
go
talk
home.
about that. I had a speaking about picking nits. I had an issue with them going home. Right, so they go home, and Tam's lighting the candle, and Rand's like, "Whoa, why can't we just be with them, and dancing and having a fucking good time?" And he goes, "Whoa, we're encouraging the souls to come home. It doesn't matter where we do it." And his very explanation undercut his reason for going home.
Yeah.
If he said we're doing it at home because it really matters where this candle is lit, so we want her to come home, right? We're bringing her home. But he's like, yeah, we do it for the souls to come back home or come back to us. It doesn't matter where it happens, right? It was a very stupid line, and it was a throwaway line, and because it so bothers me because I believe Tam brought Rand home in Eye of the World because he believed Rand immediately that they were being followed. He went back to Emmonsfield, met with everyone in the village council, warned people to be ready, went home, got the sword, and that's why not a lot of people died in Winter's Night, because they were actually pretty ready for it. That's my belief. And he got home. We went home to get the sword because he's so mastermind and like he's such an integral character. And he was holding the sword when the Trolloc came into the door, and he was able to like take a bunch of them out at the actual doorway because he was ready. And the way they have him completely taken off guard, running to get the sword, I just thought that really took a lot of Tam away from me. And I'm a Tam stan of anybody. Like, I'm the biggest Tam fan in the world. So if they don't improve Tam, I'm gonna fucking riot, like Brian said.
Right.
You want a Ludra? I want a real Tam.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I want Pale Doman. But
Oh, you're right. I do be wanting him too. All right, so let me. We're going to take a break in a little bit, but let me ask you guys about the opening credit title sequence.
Ask away.
What are your Brian? What are your thoughts of it?
I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it has some Easter eggs in there that book readers would get, and maybe even just fans of the community would get. If it does remind me a lot of the Westworld intro, which I do take a little bit of an issue with, because Westworld has a little machine drawing little strings to create, the thing, and this is basically little strings creating the pattern, and I get it, but it does feel a little derivative of the Westworld thing, but it's freaking beautiful. It's awesome. The music is amazing. The visuals are incredible. And like I said, I think there's some Easter eggs in there that are just really fun to look for. And
I personally recognize none of the people that are drawn. I know none of those women.
So I think one of the Aes Sedai on the tapestry, I think looks a lot like Sarah Nakamura.
Okay. Oh.
I think so. That's one of my things. I think it looks like Sarah.
Okay. Sarah, what are your thoughts about the opening sequence?
I don't love it. It's not really a commentary on this one in particular. I'm very over the slow, dramatic CGI opening title sequence trend generally. I would have preferred they do something like take a little bit of a risk there and do something different. Like to me, as Brian said, like this felt derivative of a long-standing trend. I was also a little disappointed that the tapestry being woven didn't change each episode.
I agree.
Because
I was hoping it would change in the second episode, the third.
Yeah, because like what are these random Aes Sedai? Like I was okay with it if it was a one episode thing, and each episode we would get a different bit of lore like fleshed out in the opening credits. But
well, Westworld did that, but they changed it every season. And so each season, the things that are created are a little like more fully fleshed out than they were before. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that here, where like by the end of maybe there are little changes that we're not noticing, and then by the end we've got like something completely different. Or season 2 is a different tapestry.
Right. Even Game of Thrones, it kind of changed when the land kind of expanded.
Well, Game of Thrones changes episode to episode because it
right.
situates you with where that episode is taking place. Which I mean, I think that's the best intro.
That's
sadly,
very clever.
I was very much sadly disappointed that it did not change for episode 3.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to kind of maybe emphasize who is a new character in the episode or just anything going on, but it was the same thing. So my guess is, like you said, Brian, it'll change from season to season. But
I'd be shocked if it's the same next season. That would be wild to me.
That'd be insane.
I miss the good old days of Lost. I don't really care about opening title sequences.
Right. Just start and then remind you. Oh yeah, by the way, you're watching Lost.
Yeah.
And then boom.
All right. So as a whole, if you had to, have you guys have your own little rating systems in your head? Do you think of these episodes like that? If you were to rate these episodes 1 through 3 at a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate each episode?
And also, which scene stands out most for you?
And then we're gonna wrap this up, everybody. After this conversation, we're gonna wrap it up. Brian's got to go, and we will be back next week. But let's have you guys answer this question.
6, 7, 9.
6, 7, 9. Okay.
9. Oh, cool.
I loved episode 3.
I would mine's. I actually like the more I think about episode 1, the more I like it. So I think originally I would have agreed with that, like 6, 7.5 or 7, 6, 8, 9 or something like that. And I think I'm more like 7, 8, 9 or 7.5, 8, 9. I think the problems with episode 1, I think, are the lack of the wave cut, and episode 2 and episode 3 are just significantly better.
Oh, no. Zapper's not a fan.
I like 3.
All right. Well, before okay, those are fair ratings. You guys both seem to like Tom Maryland. Then
I love Tom.
I wasn't sold his song. I was like, that's not how I expected him to sound. It was gravelly.
Too gravelly.
Like, where's the court bard vibes? But his interactions with Matt, it really sold me on him as Tom.
Yeah.
So to me, he seems like he was like from a Western that just kind of, I'm here to bury their dead. I'm stealing.
Yeah,
Okay. I had such a different image of Tom in my head that this one was jarring, and I still have to learn to embrace him as my Tom.
Yeah.
He is not my Tom yet.
He's not the blow out your long mustaches, goofy Gleeman that we get in the books.
Dude's not knuckling nothing.
He's not knuckling nothing.
I mean, I always pictured Tom as Sam Elliott.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Matt, you want to help me bury this man?
Exactly, yeah. But Sam Elliott with like a voice of like, I don't know, Pavarotti. I mean, I
Yeah,
expected
paparazzi.
yeah, like his voice being operatic and like
Pavarotti or whatever. What's his name?
So
suitable for a royal concert. You know.
Is country music singer-songwriter now high chant?
No, that's common, 100%.
Okay, it's common.
I really
No, yeah,
wanted him to sit at the table and be like, they always want common.
Yeah.
Now, knowing what we know about Tom, were you surprised he was even? What is he doing there?
He's gleaming.
Like, there can't be much coin in that little like.
Why was he in
Yeah,
Emmons
that
Field?
mud town.
He's hiding from something.
Yeah, why was
He
he
was
in
hired.
Emmons Field,
He was
Sarah? Let's
hired.
talk about that.
He was
I mean,
He got hired.
They hired him to bring him down.
Well,
for
I
Bell
actually spent half of most of episode 3 thinking that Dana was Dina, or was going to
did
be a stand-in for Dina, who we see in the Great Hunt, and she gets fridged. I was half expecting them to have some sort of relationship, and then 10-15 minutes into the episode, you realize that they don't, and so I changed my mind on that. But yeah, I was kind of expecting him to be there for her, and that's why. And then it turned out that wasn't the case.
I kind of was leaning that way too, but it quickly changed that she was kind of flirting with the boys in my head. I'm
Well,
like,
that's why they
oh.
pushed him back to episode 3, because if they put Tom in the first episode, you would have had 8 characters that you had to deal with. Emmons Field 5, Lan, Moraine, and Tom, and I think that would have been confusing for non-readers.
Yeah.
So I like that they pushed it to book 3. I think your question though is good. Like, why is he there? I don't know why he's there. The pattern,
Yeah.
Kaviran.
It's a shitty little town. It's a mud and wood structure fucking thing. It's not. I mean, go ahead.
Did you notice what they're mining?
Talk to me.
It's not iron ore. They're like little pieces of like iron girders and pipes and like things that have already been made into metal. So this isn't a mine getting more out of the earth. This is a mine pulling scrap metal out of a scrapyard.
Like excavating?
What?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this is one of those hints
This is
at
metal
this thing-
left over from the breaking.
I love how hard they're leaning into the far future elements.
The far
of it.
future. This is not medieval. This is far future.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that at all. Jeez.
Yeah, go rewatch it and look for that. Watch what they're putting in the bins at the mine in Bryn Spring.
Do you, Ryan? Do we have time to finish and make sure that they are proper new best friends? Okay, let me ask you the 5 quick questions that I asked, so we can get to know you a little bit better. We'll start with you, Sarah, and I'll just whip through these. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Ryan. Are you okay with this?
We're golden. Let's go.
I thought you wanted to get to know me better, but you're starting with Sarah?
Well, all of y'all.
We're saving the
You're
best for
both
last,
on new
Brian.
best. So, have you ever seen a proper palace before?
Have I ever seen a proper palace? Yes, I have.
And which one?
I've seen quite a few.
Okay.
I've
That's very
seen.
specific.
I've been to Versailles. I've been to Buckingham Palace. I've been to a few, like in Kyoto and Tokyo. I've been to the Forbidden Palace or the Forbidden City in Beijing. So I've seen a few different kinds of palaces.
Awesome. That qualifies. Brian, have you ever seen a proper palace?
Is Caesar's Palace proper?
Caesar Palace. Did you win?
I did.
All right, then
I
it
put 50
qualifies.
on black, and I won. No, I've been to Versailles as well. I've been to Buckingham Palace. I've been to a couple of them. Yeah, I've seen some proper palaces.
All right.
Why do you ask?
Because we're getting to know you guys. It's 5 quick questions, and they're kind of Wheel of Time related. I got a list here.
Okay.
All right, number 2. We'll start with you, Brian. Have you ever eaten anything that you would consider to be a honey cake?
Anything that considered to be a what?
A honey cake.
A honey cake. Sure.
Okay. All right, cool.
I
Was
mean,
it good?
I've had things that are like
That you would say this is a honey cake, like Marinavir's honey cakes. I just had one.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right on. Okay. How about you, Sarah? Have you ever had a honey cake?
I'm Jewish, so I've tried multiple Rosh Hashanahs to make delicious honey cakes. I'm not a good baker, so I've never succeeded. I've had honey cakes, but I've never had a Marinol Veer honey cake.
Okay. Well, right on. But you've tried. You've given the old college try. That's awesome. All right, number 3. And we'll start with you, Sarah. What was your first concert?
My first concert was Dave Matthews Band.
Who opened?
Dun, dun, dun.
Who opened? I have no fucking idea.
Oh, okay. Was it a good show?
I was 12. Probably.
Okay.
It was the first time I ever smelled pot for sure, and I was like,
That was a good show then. Brian, what was your first concert?
I think it was a New Kids on the Block concert.
Oh, that's beautiful. Who opened?
I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea.
Dan,
The old kids.
the old kids on the
No kids on the street.
porch.
Yeah.
All right.
Get off my
Brian,
lawn.
number 4 and 5.
4.
Do you have any circus skills or party tricks that you could impress 2 people in a room?
who's going first?
Brian.
Oh, me? Okay.
Brian.
I can juggle.
Oh, that qualifies.
Classic.
I'm a gleeman. I can juggle.
How many balls? 3?
I can do 3. I've done 5 before, but I'm not very good at
What?
it. 4 is hard.
Whoa.
Well done.
I can do that, and I know everything there is to know about the Wheel of Time, so I can do trivia all day long on that one.
That works.
And what else can I do?
Are you double jointed? Yeah. Any weird flexible things? Any weird eyeball things?
I can cross my eyes and do weird things with my eyes.
See, there you go. See, Sarah, what is your icebreaker?
Wait, we don't get
if you're in a circle.
You just let him say that and no follow-ups? All right,
Goss.
let's see this.
Awesome.
Eyeball shit. Go on.
Yay.
Oh, that is circus for sure. All right, that qualifies. Well done. Perfect. Thank you for sharing, Sarah.
Jeez. So
Dark and slobber.
yeah, I used pre-pandemic. I was a musical improviser, so I did a lot of rapping, freestyle rapping, and making up songs. That's probably my main performance skill.
Now, is there a place where you showcase this work? Do you
There
go by a
was.
different name for your music?
Oh yeah. So my music. Well, I've been putting some of my Wheel of Time music up on Spotify. Just
Oh yeah.
under
Oh,
Sarah
really?
Kaplan.
Okay, cool.
But back in the before times, I lived in LA, and I was on an improv team called Baby Wants Candy. So we would perform at various theaters, and that's what we did. But I now live in the Bay Area, and maybe y'all can help me. I don't know where to find improv up here.
Okay. I'm
Wow.
on it.
We'll figure something out.
Well, all right. I think we're gonna end with a rap battle, Ryan. But let me do the last. We've only answered 4 questions. We have one more. All right. So you guys both, and we will start with. I think it's Sarah goes first. You guys enter a tavern.
Okay.
And you see 3 incredibly, wonderfully, joyfully, lugubriously drunk men at 3 different tables.
Okay.
I'm with you.
You can spend 1 hour with only one of them.
Okay.
At one table, you see Lan Mandragora.
Oh, okay.
At the other table over there, you see Tam Althor. And then over in that corner there, you see Asmodean.
Oh.
You can
No.
only sit with one of them. Who do you choose?
Well, you made it very easy for me there.
Yeah,
Asmodean.
Asmodean.
100%.
Shockingly, most people don't choose Asmodean. I do, but shockingly, most people don't.
Oh God, Asmodean. Asmodean is my
Asmodean's-
spirit animal.
Asmodean is awesome.
Okay, well, guys, you are officially our new best friends.
Aw.
Well, willkommen.
Danke.
All right, Ryan, I think we should do a little rap battle about the show. What?
I'm getting it.
all right,
Working on it.
Ryan's firing
It's
up.
gonna be.
fire.
I think it's gonna be really hard to rap battle over beat. Will there not be a lag?
You know what? We are. We have a forgiving group here. We
have a forgiving group here.
Yeah,
Okay,
come on. We'll just it's a 4-time beat. We'll just if you stay in the beat, it's all good. Whether you're on the upbeat or the down, you'll provide a smile, not a frown. Oh, I'm just getting warmed up.
You're getting warmed up. I like it. Yeah.
Me. River rowing.
All right, here you go, Dan.
Yeah. Turn it down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Turn it down a little bit more. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
Oh yeah. A lot of oh yeahs. And start.
You like Tom? I think that he. All right, hold on, wait. Hold on. All right, let me. All right. You like Tom without his gleam of cloak? I looked at him. I thought it was kind of a joke. He just was this country bloke who sat on Rand and Matt and Boom. He stole some money from Matt, and it was whack. He went out back and took some crack. He came back and he sang some real soft song, and I thought it was all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. You passing it off?
I'm passing up.
Okay. Yo, look at me, my name's Moraine. Coming into the 2 rivers, driving them insane. You can see me in the bath with my friends, sipping on some tonic. Don't worry, y'all, it's just platonic. Then the Trollocs attack, I got your back. And they're throwing in at them, whap, whap, whap. I'm gonna take some air and sardine and some fireballs, throwing in the make a scene, then destroying the town. I love this violence. People look at me and they're like, that's a trial, you're pretty much destroying this town. The Trollocs did nothing, but they all burned down.
Nice.
It's been so long.
That was great.
Thank you. I need to practice.
We push Egwin into the river. She floats down, she gets out, and she shivers. She eats some sand, she feels all good, while the other people go deck to the hood. Rand doesn't talk to her. Egwin kind of fuck. My well doesn't work so good. All right. Land and Moraine come in from the rain. She stands in front of the fire. I was hoping she was gonna make it a pyre, but there was no change. It was kind of strange. It was like she didn't even give a bang. All right. All right. Pass. To you, sir.
Yo, Eamon Volta is my name. And I'm rocking that white cloak game. Keeping that world safe with my flame. Kicking everybody down. It's the name. You can see me and I got the blood on my mouth. I'm eating a bird if you figured that out. You can see me and I'm protecting the land. Separating Aes Sedai from their hands. Here's the thing. I got 7 rings. You might want to come at me. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm losing it.
Yeah, listen to my bling, bling, bling.
There we go.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
All right, Sarah, you beat me. Well done. I got
awesome.
Well done. All right, good job,
everybody. What a great show.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
having
y'all
us.
so much for having us. This is so fun.
Yeah, we're wrapping up, Brian.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. Brian's
All
got
right.
to go.
Brian from Barside Chats. You can find them wherever you can get the best podcasts. Anywhere to find. You look for Barside Chats, you will find Brian.
Yep, that's right.
And Sarah from the Maidens of the Spear. You guys actually were the hosts of the San Francisco premiere. Is that correct?
We were, yeah.
And that was awesome.
What an honor that must have been. What a blast. That's how Ryan have met you all, and I'm glad that we are new best friends. This has been a fun show, guys. I want to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks
great.
for having us. I'd love to come back.
All right.
Yeah.
If everyone watching, please give it a like and subscribe. You know the drill. This is YouTube currency, so if you want to give us a little tip, that's how you do it. It's not hard. You can even like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and then mute us.
It matters.
Still helps us out.
It matters.
All right. It's been a great show. Sarah, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Spear Maidens or on YouTube at Maidens of the Spear.
So you manage your Spear Maidens. Okay, is it your official account for your show?
Yes, I am a.
So
I'm
every
Spear
tweet
Maidens.
comes out of it. It comes from you.
Yes, it does.
Okay, your Twitter game's amazing.
Thank you.
Let me just say it. You're brilliant. It's brilliant. Brian, where can people find you?
You can find us on Barside Chats anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever. I'm also on Twitter at Barside Chats Pod. And I'm on Instagram, Barside Chats Podcast, I think. It's been a while since I've been on Instagram, but I'm on there. And Matt Hatch, the innkeeper from the Dusty Wheel, is my co-host. So you can, if you love Matt, you can come listen to Barside Chats and hear him talk, even if you don't want to hear me talk. So it's a great show. I hope you all come listen, and thanks for having us.
I'm sorry, Matt who? No.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody.
Hey, I love you and I'm proud of you. Hey, well done. Thanks for joining us. We'll be here on Tuesday and we're here on Sunday. So come join us again. Love you all.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.